Hi there. I'm just re-recording the beginning of my communication lesson. That's my dog drinking her water very loudly. I know that I did not press the live button until a few minutes into our previous session. So I'm starting here. So let me share my screen. Oh my. So welcome back to week 2. We're going to be talking about communication today, but I want to welcome you all back. Thank you for watching, if you're watching this later, and thank you for joining. So last week in our Building Confidence session, we talked a lot about these things. So we talked about homework at the end of the session. I'm just hoping that this week you're able to make time to kind of think, talk, and debrief about the ways that you were parented. A lot of times when especially when we're under stress, but just sometimes when, we're in a situation where we don't know what else to do, our child is displaying challenging behaviors, and we often revert back to the way that we were parented. So sometimes this is fine and it's not a big deal. But other times maybe that's something that we don't want to do, that we remember from our own childhoods, that we didn't like, necessarily the way maybe our parents did certain things, and they certainly did the best that they could. But if you wanted to change some of those parenting styles, just thinking and talking about what those were and how those kind of affected you and how you were able to kind of view yourself and become yourself through the ways that you interacted with your parents. I think the first step is really acknowledging and thinking about those things, and thinking about the ways in which they come out in your own parenting. Maybe that's something you've never thought about. So it's good to kind of start that conversation. And then writing down 3 ways you can positively notice your child. So putting that on your fridge to remind yourself, put it on your mirror, put it around somewhere that you'll see, put it in your phone and your notes, reminders, to kind of remind yourself just to notice what your child does well. So there's probably 100 things throughout the day that he or she does really well, and the times and the activities that they're able to be on task and that they're enjoying. So I think during those times, really focusing your attention there. If you know that they really love to help you, dry dishes or fold laundry or those things that kids really like to do, be really happy about that and acknowledging them for those things. Practicing a few of the activity cards. So just pre-planning some time to use them. Your day best and when you might be able to carve out 5 to 10 minutes. If you can't do it every day, what days you might have a little bit more time. And those activity cards from last week and this week are in the email that I sent before the session. So there's a link in there to click on. You can see those cards, and let me know if you're unable to or you need some help with that. And then finally, planning 5 to 10 minutes in your day to kind of pay that one-on-one attention to your child. The best opportunity to do that is when they are doing the right thing, and that could just mean we're all sitting at the dinner table and they're eating, or they're, normally maybe they have a hard time eating quietly, or they have a hard time eating next to their sibling and not kind of getting into it. And you notice that today, for those 5 minutes at the beginning of the meal, they were doing really well with their brother or sister, and kind of focusing your attention there and providing that one-on-one connection in times when that they're kind of ready for it. It could be before bed or after bath and they're a little bit more calm. So just kind of being intentional about what that time, when you're choosing to spend that one-on-one time. And that can be extra special if you have more than one child, because lives are crazy. So it's hard to provide that one-on-one connection with each child. Definitely. So today we're going to be talking about communication, and you'll kind of notice that throughout the lessons that there's a lot of common themes. So this one-on-one connecting, this really cultivating that personal relationship with your child is just going to help you through all of the different things that we talk about. It helps you through with communication. It helps you with cooperation. It helps to build your child's confidence. So all of these things really are about you focusing that intentional time on creating a positive relationship with your child. And that's kind of what all of these topics really center around and talk a lot about. So you'll hear me kind of say a lot of similar things. So I wanted to open with this research study, which is pretty well known. It's by Hart and Risley, and it's called the 30 million word gap. You can Google this if you are a research buff or you just like to know, be in the know. This is a very famous study that you can, even if you can't get the actual article, sometimes they make you pay for those. I'm sure you can find a dozen synopsis of the article online because it's pretty well known. So really what happened in this research study was that 42 families who had children from age 7 months to 3 years were enrolled, and they had researchers go out to their homes and sit there for, I don't know how long, a few hours. Maybe it was over the course of several weeks. I'm not sure what the time frame was, but they sat in their homes and they simply counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the interactions between parent and child. So they called them utterances. So in terms of language, so communication. So mom says something, child says something, dad says something, child says something, child says something, mom says something. They're literally counting them. And then they also kind of noted the quality of those interactions. So were they negative or positive? Was mom and dad, being very directive and saying, do this, don't do this? Or was it a conversation? Were they talking about their day? Was it more of, just kind of this positive interaction as opposed to giving direction? What they found was there were significant differences at age 3. And then they followed up with these families and children at 3rd grade, and there were still significant differences. In terms of, the reason they call this the 30 million word gap, in terms of the amount of vocabulary that the child had. So by age 3, there was a 30 million word gap between children who were on the lowest end of the spectrum in terms of interaction. So they're not interacting very much with parents or adults in the house. And the children who were at the top of the spectrum, who were interacting very frequently and often with the adults in their house. So the reason I share this, there's a couple of reasons, but one is I want you to know the kind of power that you have in this interaction with your child. So it's very powerful, how often you are communicating with your child. So sometimes, I know that's hard. I know it's a challenge when we're so busy. To kind of maintain that communication. We think, oh, my child's occupied. I'm going to go run and do the 100 things that are on my to-do list. But I really encourage you to just be more mindful and kind of intentional about creating that conversation with your child. And it could be about anything. So notice, in this research, they didn't say that parents were talking about shapes and numbers and colors and all those things. I think sometimes parents, again, with good intentions, want to have those types of conversations with the idea that, well, they're learning and I want them to learn these things. And that's fine. Those conversations are not bad. But I think shifting your perspective a little bit and knowing the importance of just talking and just having an interaction that is not directive. So you're not telling them, do this, don't do that. You're simply saying, hey, look, you really like to play with those blocks. What are you building? Kind of talk with them about how they're being imaginative, or talk with them about things that they did during the day. Ask them about, you're getting dinner ready. Ask them questions about it. Oh, do you like to eat vegetables? What are the vegetables that you like to eat? Why don't you like these vegetables? What do they taste like? There's 100 million things, 100 million avenues that you could go down and talk to your child about. Talk to them about the TV characters that they like. Talk to them about what sports they like to play. There's just so many things. So not only when you're doing that, when you're providing that conversation, not only are you building their vocabulary, they're learning words from you, but you're also increasing connection. So they're feeling like mom or dad or whomever is interested in what I'm doing, right? Of course, that makes you, even as adults, when someone's making a conversation with you, you feel good. You feel, oh, they're interested in what I'm doing. And then also it's going to help them. It showed in this study that especially the follow-up for third grade, it helps them academically. Simply because, again, children who are connected well with parents, they just have better social emotional skills. They're better regulated. They're better able to sit in the classroom and be patient, than a child who's kind of lacked those interactions. So there's a lot of power in you interacting with your child about anything and just being kind of more consistent about it and making sure that that's more of a conversation than a direction. So you're really fostering that back and forth as opposed to you kind of saying what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing. So I really want you to kind of keep that in mind. So I believe this is where our video stopped last time, or started, I'm sorry, last time at checkup A. So I will stop here and Naomi can loop these together. Thank you. So sorry that I did that. Oh my. Where am I? Oh, here I am. Okay, thank you. Bye.